cat, she's lining up a scene. Coffee cup, cat's tail, dancing in the steam. Every little click spins a brand new theme. Mrs. Right, that's right.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mrs. Right podcast with me, Bronte Bennett, author of The Squire and also your host on the Mrs. Right podcast. With me today, I have Leah Keggy, author of The Merch Blueprint. Lovely to have you with us, Leah. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be
Great pleasure. I want to start with your Once Upon a Time. So to give us a little bit of background into you.
There was a little girl who thought she was going to write the next Clive Cussler series. I was like so into adventure books and I thought I was going to be an author and an FBI agent. I was like 8. And I very quickly learned you have to do a lot of math to be an FBI agent. So that was out. And the passion was in storytelling, but I found a way to do that through a marketing career. So I sort of put writing on the back burner for a while and, explored the world of marketing and have been doing that for consumer goods for more than a decade and got the opportunity to kind of the spark to write a book about marketing, not a great adventure novel.
So you went in a different direction from that you might first have imagined. And yet I guess that there are quite a lot of there's quite a lot of crossover when you're storytelling. But there are some fundamental differences, aren't there, between writing fiction and writing fact?
The idea for the Merch Blueprint felt straightforward. I knew who it was for. It was my lived experience in marketing for consumer goods. And I went, I'm going to write it. Like, I'm just going to do it. So, it took a lot of, I'm not going to write, I'm so in awe of anyone who writes fiction because I cannot get kind of like I haven't found the story for me in the fiction realm, but I was like, I have said I wanted to write a book since I was a kid. And so I'm just going to sit down and write what I know.
Very sensible. And when you started writing, did it flow very easily and very naturally? Did you hit any kind of bumps and have any writer's block moments?
The writing was the easiest part for me because it was an outline, especially in the nonfiction world. It's not, you don't come up on plot points the same way. Editing I thought was going to be a breeze because writing wasn't that hard. And it turns out I use about 1 million commas in every chapter. And I did hire an editor who had to help me remove them all.
Is there a book or an author that has quietly shaped your writing voice?
I think for me, one of the authors that I really look up to, he's in the kind of self-help space, is John Acuff. He's written a lot of great books about, he has a book called Start and a book called Finish and a book called All It Takes Is a Goal. But his writing style is very colloquial. Like if you hear him speak, he writes like he speaks, which is really refreshing in a space that tends to be very educational. And that was something that I really tried to keep in mind because I'm a firm believer that marketing doesn't have to feel as hard as it really is. And a lot of people make it sound really hard. So having that kind of conversational style was something that really impacted me as I've read his books and then also as I've written my own.
So you said that when you were writing this book, The Merch Blueprint, you really knew who you were writing it for. So you had your audience in mind. Who is that person? What's their profile?
So this book is great for people who have a brand, whether it's a founder or a marketing team. I think authors could use this as well, but it's for somebody who is looking to expand the world of their thing. So it's not a book about starting an apparel brand or starting a merchandise business. It is about how you can use merchandise and use products outside of your kind of core product. I'm putting that in air quotes, core product for those listening.
Yeah.
And how you can expand the world around the thing. So authors can do this, CPG brands, that's a big one, consumer goods, where I've spent my career. But there's a lot of different people that can use it, but it's very specific to someone who's got a thing that they want to get further out into the world.
And you said that authors could use this because authors have brands and authors have
Yep.
products. And yet, the more authors I talk to, the more I realise how clueless many of us are about the world of marketing ourselves. And so any advice that you can give us as we go through this podcast would be greatly appreciated, because we are having to merchandise ourselves, essentially, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay. And I like what you said there about the kind of colloquial voice. I can relate to that and that sense that when you're reading a piece of work and you can literally hear the author's voice, that does bring you closer to them. And it also helps you to see that it's not something AI generated, because that has got one voice and one voice only. It's very flat and very impersonal. So how would you describe your writing voice then, if you were to give it a description?
That is a really good question. I tried really hard, I should say. I think I nailed it, but y'all can tell me if I did or not. I tried to write from a place of expertise, but with like a touch of humor. I'm not like super funny, like by no means. But I think there's a little touch of like sarcasm that
Yeah.
kind of can come across the page, or wit that I tried to include to say,
Wit.
it's a little touch of humanity in the writing, and it's not like, all right, here's my
Yeah.
scientific diatribe on marketing or AI generated feeling. But,
Yeah. That's good to know, because academic writing leaves me cold. You
yeah,
used the word wit, and I don't think I'm funny, but I think I'm witty. And I think it is that edge of sarcasm and that sort of slight to the world, that sort of sideways look that you give the world.
right.
What's going on over here? That kind of thing. That is very human and very real. And also, if you can poke fun, a little bit of poking of fun at whatever it is that you're describing, that can make things feel much more real for people too. How would you describe the merch blueprint? Pretend you're selling it to me. Sell it to me. How would you describe it? I sound like one of those people at a sales conference that says, sell me this pen.
Exactly.
Sell me the merch blueprint.
So one of the best marketing tactics, the most recommended, the most effective marketing tactics, is word of mouth marketing. And imagine that you could manufacture an opportunity for someone to have a conversation about your brand or product without being there, and they may pay you to do it. That's why you need the merch blueprint.
It's like magic.
Right?
That's what you've got in your book.
Yes.
It's
so
alchemy.
The goal
Okay.
is to create products that, again, expand your brand world, but also make it so that other people want to talk about what they've experienced and share that with a friend. I mean, I have been wearing a branded backpack and been stopped in an airport to talk about the brand. So imagine being able to do that for whatever you're selling.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. My mind is already whirring with possibilities, which is very helpful. Who do you think would get real benefit from your work?
I think in terms of, especially folks listening to this podcast, if you have a series or a book that has a very distinct setting, merchandise is a great opportunity. I like to think really big for a second, right? Like Gilmore Girls. Everyone loves Stars Hollow merchandise, even though, that show hasn't been on the air for how many years? And people kind of gravitate towards this setting. And, there's like all sorts of things that are around that. You can do that if you've got a series that's set in a specific place, then you can create, a coffee mug that has, exactly. And it helps if you're selling books on your own website. You can, increase your order value. You can do all these kind of like more technical things. But how cool is it to just think about, like, for a second, someone sitting, rereading your book or reading book number 3 with a coffee cup that's got, the setting that
Stableford on it, or a black Labrador, or a bookmark with Stableford Hall on it. Yeah, my mind. Pinging. I am pinging with ideas. Okay, I'm going to buy your book also, because I think that I will be able to translate. The other thing is, outside of being an author, like most people, I have a day job. because I've got to keep the lights
Mhm.
on, right? So
Right.
we also have our own business. And that
Mhm.
has a product. So I think, multiple uses, get the most out of your
Yes,
book. I can use it for everything. Before you know it, I'll be
exactly.
merchandising everything.
Yes, perfect.
What is one myth about being a writer that you would like to bust?
Ooh. I'm going to come back to marketing doesn't have to be hard. So
Mm.
I think that especially in the self-publishing space where you do have to do a lot of work yourself. There's this people get on threads and post and go, "It's my daily I have to market my book moment." And yes, you probably get a lot of engagement on that from other authors who feel your
Who
pain.
feel your pain?
You're probably not getting a lot of book sales out of it.
No.
And I like to use the analogy of like a show on a streaming service. So if
Mm.
you think about it's content in a different way, but if you enjoy something and you want to tell a friend why they should enjoy it, you're going to tell them, "Oh, I think you'd like this because of the genre, the setting, the actors, the adjacency to another show."
Mm.
And you're going to kind of build up the show as you're talking about it because you love it. And
Mm.
then it would be kind of crappy if you didn't tell them where to stream said show.
Mm.
So I think for authors thinking about that, talking about the value someone's going to get out of it and not in it's 10 hours of fun. It's like you're going to love the tropes that are in place or if you love fantasy, you're going to love that setting. And, sharing why someone is going to love your book is going to help you sell more books than complaining about marketing your book.
So, sharing why somebody is going to enjoy your book. Okay. So, I'm treating this now as like a free coaching session with
Yes.
you, Leah. And I'm thinking about my own book, and it has some very, very distinct tropes. And here in the UK, we are all massive Jilly Cooper. Well, we're not all massive, but there's a lot of Jilly Cooper fans. I don't know if you're familiar with Jilly Cooper. And recently on TV, they've been doing a TV adaptation of one of those books. And it's all about this sort of, wealthy, handsome man. It's set in the 1980s. So there's a bit of sort of history and fashion going on, and it's all very
Mhm.
English countryside and blah, blah, blah. And my book's very similar. So I would be saying, instead of going, "Oh, I can't believe I've got to market myself again, how tiresome," I should be saying, if you're watching Rivals on TV right now and
Mhm.
you like it, you are going to love this, and this is where you can buy it. Is that essentially what you're
Absolutely.
saying?
Yes. Like thinking about when that energy is, the kind of internet energy is going to be heightened around something is a great time. I mean, gift guides are obvious, but thinking like, okay, if you're going to pitch your book for gift guides or you're going to put together gift guides of your own, maybe including your merchandise,
Gift
you know,
guides. I've never thought of gift
things
guides. Gift guides, writing
things
that down.
like that where it's like, all right, how do I put it in the context of somebody's like who needs something, right? In the US, we've got spring break in the spring, so it's like spring break reads. You want if you like this, you'll like this because readers read. That's I
Yeah.
think the great thing, and a lot of fellow writers are going to share your work because they're not publishing a book a week.
No,
So
exactly.
they want to help other people because then when it
Yeah.
comes time for them to promote a book, you're more likely to also share that as well.
That's true. So a couple of people said to me, "Why are you doing a podcast for authors? Surely you should be doing a podcast for readers." And I said, authors are readers,
Yes,
as a whole,
some of the
authors are
best.
readers. Yeah, we love to read. And also, it is a really supportive and non competitive environment. And that's quite unusual. And it's because, as you say, I can read a book a week, but I don't know anybody that can write a book a week,
Right.
apart from maybe
Not
AI,
I was going to say not without using
not a real
some very
person. So the book that you've written, The Merch Blueprint,
Mhm.
if I was quite a simple person and I needed step-by-step instructions, would I find them within the pages of this book?
Yes, that is the goal, is to make it extremely easy to get started with merchandise. So I think it's broken out into a couple different types of merchandise. So there's retail merchandise, which is, I think, the best opportunity, especially for authors. But there's also
Mm,
promotional merchandise. So if you're
mm,
doing author events and you're giving things away, it can help you think about kind of what that might look like and how to manage it. So
Brilliant.
in the retail blueprint, it talks about opportunities for print on demand. So you don't have to even produce it and store it, keep it in inventory if you don't want to. Think that there's more opportunities to do something with merchandise when you have it in your hands, but print on demand is still an option, especially as you get started and kind of test things out. And it walks through how you can do that, how you can manage, what kind of things to put on your merchandise. Like we talked about with Gilmore Girls, it's not it doesn't say Gilmore Girls across the front. It says Stars Hollow or Dragonfly Inn or whatever.
Yeah.
We've exhausted my knowledge of Gilmore Girls at this point, but you get the
I can see where you're going.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess it's like if we looked at Harry Potter, that is merch on the next level. I mean, they were books,
Right.
and she's an author, but the merch, they have merchandised every inch.
Everything. Yes. The book does not cover having a theme park.
No.
But that's the next one.
And, people are buying wands because they're in Harry Potter. So I think I'd never made this connection before, but now I have. I'll be thinking about it all the time. What can I merchandise? Right. I mean, it's probably got about as far as a bookmark, but I'm sure we can do more than that. Did you say you are writing another one?
Yes, I have a full manuscript that it needs a different point of view. The merch blueprint would build on the first, but obviously the publishing order will be different. The working title is business to brand. So going from all right, I'm selling a thing to I have a world around this thing in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So for that one, if I put my hat on as a business owner, it would be more about the business that I own and run. How do I present that to the world? Because it's not a product as such. It's an entity, and it's a service provider of sorts, but it's not a physical thing.
Yes. And I think one of the things a lot of people, especially authors, sort of stumble into this business piece. They're like, oh, I'm suddenly selling a thing and now have a brand.
When do you think you'll be finished with that?
Oof, that's a good question. I have a couple other projects I'm working on outside of writing, but I would love to finish it by the end of the year, but we'll see if that happens.
Do you know, I had a couple of accountability partners to get my book finished, and they were the lady that does my fingernails. They look good, right? She does a great job.
She does good.
And also the man that does my hair. They would, every time I saw them, because I saw them every 6 weeks, 3 months, whatever, they'd say, where are you in the book? How much longer do I have to wait for it? I actually found that really very helpful. It really pushed me. It was almost like they say, if you're going to go on a diet, tell people, because then you have to do it. If you tell people you're going to run a marathon, then you've got to do it. So I told people I was writing a book, and then I had to do it. And I think that's one of the reasons I finally finished one, because I had people saying, where is it then? Where is it? So now you've got however many listeners to this podcast holding you accountable.
Everyone come find me when you hear this and ask where I'm at with it.
Where are you at with the book? Good. Come on, Leah. Yeah. Hurry up. Yeah, exactly. It's encouraging. Promise. This brings me to my next question, which is when you're not writing or merchandising or marketing or doing your job or bringing up your child or all of the other millions of things that you have to do in your life, what do you like to read?
I love a cozy murder mystery. So anything, from the classics, Agatha Christie to, the Thursday Murder Club series was a favorite. I just finished the third in the Antique Hunter's Guide series. So I'm a sucker for a British cozy mystery.
Oh, that's nice. So something gentle with a bit of murder thrown in.
Right. So I was trying to explain this to someone. Like, the big scary thing happens at the beginning, and then it's just solving it. So I don't, the long, slow build is too much for me.
Yeah, I get it. And also it takes you on a journey where you've got to try and work out who done it, haven't you?
I love it. Yes.
All the way through. And I love when an author can take you on this journey where you change your mind every third or fourth chapter. You're like, oh, maybe it wasn't them after all. It must have been somebody else. I think that's very clever. I could never write like that. That's beyond my capabilities. So you self-published the merch blueprint. Am I right?
Yes.
Tell me what drove that decision.
Two things. One, I was like, I want to get it out in the world. I think that, it's like the idea of traditional publishing, again, makes a lot of sense for certain stories, certain things. This was not that. It was like, I have this thing and I just want to get it into the world. Um,
Mm,
and two, with nonfiction books, you generally need a really big audience for a publisher to get interested in it. And while maybe the next one I get there and I, put together the proposal, I felt like it was, again, better to get it into the world and do it with the audience that I have and start talking about it once it was already published. Because
yeah.
I didn't want to build up something that people could use right away. That was the
Mm,
other thing. Is like, oh, you've got to spend all this time hyping up a book launch. Like, I want people to start using the material.
mm.
Oh, why wait?
Okay, I can understand that. It also, I self-published because I'm impatient
Yeah.
and I'm a control freak. And so in both
Mhm.
cases, it was the right choice for me. But I have to admit that my longer term plan is once I've had enough experience of writing and getting the
Mhm.
world and getting work out there, I probably will query
Mhm.
one of the big book that I've got in my mind that isn't fully formed yet.
Mhm.
That one.
Yes.
What surprised you most about the self-publishing route? What have you learned
I
that you could share?
One of the things, I mean, one of the things that surprised me is how there's so many options and opportunities out there. Like you can do things in a lot of different ways. You can spend a lot of money in self-publishing as well. And I think there's a lot of value in paying an editor. Do not get me
Yeah.
wrong. I think that is
Yeah.
money well spent from myself and a lot of
Yeah.
authors, most authors. Like, can't imagine being like, all right, if I hadn't paid enough, like the commas, there would be a billion commas in that. It would have been four more pages.
Back to the commas.
Yes. But I think it's like it's easy to get overwhelmed. And that was one
Yeah.
of the things I started, like I had a moment where I was like I was looking at formatting and trying to figure out, okay, should I go just do it through Amazon or should I go, do it also through Ingram Spark? Like, and I
Mm,
felt myself kind of freeze up. And I was
mm,
like, maybe I'm not ready for this. It's like, no,
mm.
you're just overwhelmed by your options.
Yeah.
So I think that, it's easy to sort of go, oh gosh, I have to do this specific way or it's not good. And that's not true. So for me, it's like you can always publish another edition. You can always, if you I started just with Amazon because I was like, KDP feels manageable on my own. If I want to come back with an updated second edition that I publish in a broader sense, I can do that later. But I think getting the story out there after it's been edited, like just getting it out there is so important and not getting stuck in, oh my gosh, there's a million options and how do I do XYZ, or everything is figure outable, everything
Mm.
is manageable. Maybe it's not perfect, but if it's good enough that you feel like you can put it in the world, then find a way to put it in the world. I think is kind of the summary of my experience.
Yeah. That's, thinking about for the sake of the listener, I went on a
Mhm.
similar kind of journey of thinking about getting my book out and I went Amazon first and I did KDP first. Getting
Mhm.
the electronic version out is not only the quickest and simplest thing to do because it's all set up for you, isn't it? You just drop your
Right.
manuscript in and it formats it for you. But it's
Mhm.
also really easy to update it when what happened to me was friends and family read it on Kindle Unlimited and then I was overwhelmed by WhatsApp saying spelling mistake here, grammatical error there, you've done this here, you've repeat. I was like, you've called this character two different names in different parts of the book. I was like, Lord. So then I could go back and I edited it
Mhm.
in the software and I think I'm on version 3 or 4 now, but before I went to
Mhm.
print, I was already able to push the book out for people to read it and give
Mhm.
me some thoughts about what it was. It was a really
Yeah.
easy way to get it out to people to read, and it didn't have to cost them anything if they had Kindle Unlimited.
Right. Right.
So I've done the same thing, but I will
Mhm.
do Ingram Spark, and I will go on to. Is it called Bobo? There's another thing, Apple Books.
There.
There's all sorts of different ways that you can put your book out.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
now my 14-year-old nephew has built me a website I can sell my book direct, which is the
Mhm.
only way to make any kind of profit as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Yes, and I think that's, like, doing it in phases. I'm so glad that I just said I'm gonna put it on Amazon because it's been a great conversation topic in my, like, life and career,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wouldn't have that if it wasn't just available. I think
Mm.
it's funny because you mentioned, saying you're gonna do something gets it in the world, and then it's like people hold you accountable, but it's like it's a lot of people say they're gonna write a book,
Yeah, they
and,
do.
like,
A lot of people want to.
3% of them do
Yeah.
it. And so it's
Yeah.
like if you can be that 3%, even if it's not perfect, you
Mm.
can get that experience in a way that I feel like it sets you up for the next one. And for me too, it's like it's exciting to hear people have read my book. Like a friend who's a graphic designer is working with a client on some merchandise and she was joking, but not. And she was like, "Will you sign my copy of your book?" And I was
Yeah.
like and it was, like, dog-eared and highlighted, and, like, that was the best feeling.
Wow, awesome.
So,
Yeah.
get it out there.
We still need to learn how to make the system work for us so that our work becomes visible to others, which is why your book is,
Mhm,
whilst algorithms may not feature in it in any way, it
mhm,
gives us opportunities to think creatively about how we might push our work
mhm,
out into the world in a different way from the way that we might first thought we would do it.
mhm.
I hear over and over
Yes.
again, I wrote my book, I published it on Amazon, and then I watched nothing happen for ages.
Right. And I think, there's this old I'm gonna tell you how old in a minute, but there's this kind of saying, like, you have to touch something 7 times before you buy. So,
Mhm.
not literally touch it, but you gotta see a thing.
Mm.
That stat is from the 1930s
Wow.
and it was the movie industry. Imagine the content consumption in the 19 compared
Mm.
to now. You've gotta
Yeah.
you've gotta be visible. You've gotta find ways to be visible. I don't think it has to be social media. There's social media is free to join. I'm not gonna say
Mhm.
it's free because it takes energy and it takes time
Mm.
to do the thing, but
Mm.
it has kind of democratized access to information in a way that is great if you make yourself available to be seen. And so I think for a lot of people it doesn't have to be Instagram, it doesn't have to be TikTok. It can be something like Threads, you can be on Substack, whatever it is, but being able to be visible helps you then, your book gets seen in a way that maybe it wouldn't otherwise. It can be a podcast conversation. Like we're talking about our books right now and people are listening. So I
Mm.
think that there's like, again, I come back to like marketing is presented as this like really hard thing. And it's hard to be
Mm.
really good at it, but you don't have to be really good at it to get something out of it. You can be okay at it and you can get more out of it than nothing.
Yeah. Well, yes, that reminds me of something my husband says to me often. I'd rather have 1% of something than 100% of nothing.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that's definitely a lesson to live by. So, in real life, as well as, obviously I'm Mrs. Wright and I'm Bronte and I've written a book and all of that stuff, but I've already mentioned that I also have a
Mhm.
business and
Yep.
I also have an unfinished nonfiction, and it is based on the work that I do, very much like you, but it's about personality types essentially and how we communicate with each other and, introverts and
Mhm.
extroverts and thinkers and doers and planners and relationship focus and all of that jazz. And I'm stuck. So I can't move forward. So I'm early in my journey. You're published. What's a piece of advice you would give to me that might help me to move past I've written loads of words, but they don't make any sense and I don't think it's any good stage that I'm currently in?
That's hard because that's where I'm at with my other one. And I'm
Uh,
also a little stuck. But
we need to
I
help each other.
We do. Okay, I know this is a podcast format. I'm gonna show you something and I'm gonna describe it.
We'll describe it, listeners. If you're
Okay,
not watching, we'll describe it.
you're gonna stop this and be like, she's crazy.
Okay,
So this
everybody.
is my
Leah
next
is
book.
showing me. Ooh! Okay, right. So Leah
So
is showing. Yeah,
it's
go
just a
on. You
giant
describe.
mind map of just ideas that connect in different ways.
Uh-huh.
So I found I mean, again, it's an entire manuscript worth of words, and I
Mm.
can't get past the fact that it's on a screen. So I was like,
Yeah.
I need to just lay the ideas out
See
and
it.
figure out where they all connect, because I think
I love that
one of the
idea.
things that is hard about kind of big idea or like framework nonfiction is that like it's not necessarily linear. Like I'm
That's
fascinated to
it.
hear about the personality like piece and the communication, because I think that's so valuable
Yeah.
and in all types of relationships, not
But
just
it
work.
doesn't have an obvious chronological order because it's not
Yeah,
a story with a
right.
beginning, a middle, and an end.
Absolutely. So I sat down on the floor and wrote out just every idea about this framework that I have in my head and I've used in business and in my
Mm.
career to say, okay, how do these interconnect? And from there, where does that narrative flow? Because that helped me a lot to figure out kind of, all right, what pieces do I need to include? And then from here, I can go and like tick off, all right, this fits in this way in the outline, because then I think once you've outlined a nonfiction, it's really, like I said, easy to write comparatively.
I think that is advice that I am going to take away. And I'm very, very visual, and I have vision boards and I have those mind maps all over the
Hmm.
place for my real life. And I'm also always manifesting. So I like to be able to see things. If I
Yeah.
want to manifest them, I need to be able to see them in some form. But I never
Hmm.
thought about doing it for my nonfiction.
Yeah.
I think that would help a lot. That way I can, they're not, yes. Oh my goodness, this is genius. I'm now feeling re-energized to go back to it because it's like I've got it all there, but it doesn't make sense. And the other thing is I haven't
Yep.
really thought about my audience. Like I really haven't identified
Hmm.
who it's for yet. So I need to do that too.
And that's, I think, I mean, it's so easy, regardless of what genre you're writing, to get stuck. And I think the only way to get out of it is to get off of the page,
Yeah,
because
that is
it's
a golden nugget of advice right there.
because like it's so easy to be like, all right, I'm scrolling through Word doc pages of,
Yeah,
whatever you're writing in, to be like,
yeah,
okay, here's where it is. And I
yeah,
this manuscript I was working on, I sent to a friend and she was like, it reads like chunks of content. And
yeah.
it's like, oh, that's not helpful. Like it doesn't flow. And so that's
Flow.
part of, again, how this giant kind of crazy looking board came to be. Poor husband was like, what is happening? Don't worry about it.
Okay. Do you know what, Leah? I think you and I are going to talk again. I think
Yeah.
we have not finished on this one yet, but I think I'm going to be tapping you up for more
Well,
tips in the future.
I'll be
Going to
asking when
read
your
your
book
book.
is coming out. So
Yes, exactly. Oh, great. We're accountability partners for each other. Love it. Okay, this is good stuff. Leah, if a listener gave themselves just 30 minutes a day, how would you suggest they use it?
so I would say for authors, regardless of where you are in your journey, write down the ideas you have that aren't related to your book. So I think it's really easy to be like, oh, this is a great quote to pull for later for promotion. When I wrote it, write it down somewhere, because
Mm.
you are going to finish your book, everyone, and you are going to have to promote it. That I think is invaluable, even if, yes, it's going to take you a couple minutes away from actually writing. But if
Mm-hmm.
you have the thought, the best thing you can do is write it down um, in some way. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. Like we're not perfect. Our brains are
Okay.
not steel traps. So
Great advice. So, as things occur to you, write them down. Have a dedicated notebook or something, even
yes,
if, or on your phone, a dedicated place
yeah,
on your phone where you can keep a note of all the
hmm
little germs of ideas of things
hmm
that might be useful for promotion or for merchandise,
hmm or
etc., that are
yes.
outside of the work itself. Okay,
hmm
great advice. What are writers overcomplicating that should actually be simpler? I really need this help.
I'm gonna say marketing again, because
Yeah.
I feel really, as you've heard. But I do think this is something that a lot of people like speak to in the world of consumer goods, like founders, small businesses, they overcomplicate it and then they freeze. So it's like
Yeah.
you said, 1% of something is better than, 100% of
0%
nothing.
of it. Yeah.
And
100% or
so,
nothing.
I think it's like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, you may have a grand idea for a reel, and it's gonna take you an hour and a half to film, and that doesn't make
Mm,
sense. But if you
mm,
find the minute in the world of business, minimum viable product, how
hmm
can you get the idea out there? I had an accountability partner say this, like, make it exist and then make it good. So, especially in terms of content, like, make it exist. Like, throw the idea out there. If people resonate with it, you can come back and do more with that. Also, because
mm,
people see up 0.5% of the things you post. So,
yeah,
and that's not to be negative about it, but to say, share it again.
yeah.
You don't have to.
You could just share the same stuff more than once.
Yes. Another thing I like to point out, if you put up a picture and then share the same photo in 3 months and someone calls you out on it and you have content in between, they're your biggest fan.
Yeah,
Because
because they've
I
seen
don't,
it.
yeah, I don't remember what I looked at on a brand's or an author's Instagram page from 3 months ago
That is such
or
brilliant advice.
threads
Like, why
even.
am I not just reuse? I could easily reuse stuff
And I think
and it wouldn't even
I forget
matter.
it. Right. I
Mm,
forget it myself, but I think that it's something that people get so hung up on. It's like, well, I have to make new stuff all the time. And it's like, yeah, you can't
yeah,
write the same book twice, but
no.
you can put up the same Instagram photo, or you can you can take a photo and you can crop it slightly differently to get a different angle
Mm.
if you don't want to use the exact same photo, and
Such
it'll be
great
great.
advice. And can you tell me talk about this MVP thing again? Because somebody talked about MVP on one of my other calls and I didn't ask what it was and I don't know what it is.
So MVP, minimum viable product. So I think, that's what for me the merge blueprint is like. It's a full book. It is valuable as it stands. Is it the best it could be? I could probably add a couple more chapters and I might in edition number 2. But
Mm,
it is a complete and valuable thing, but it is the minimum, and
gotcha.
for a lot of like product-based businesses, it's like, all right, well, I have this grand idea for all of these things that it could do. But if
Mm,
it fits what a consumer needs, then you can then, uh, get it out in the world and start learning and what you did with your book, right? You got it into
yeah,
the world and maybe you had to update some spelling mistakes, but
yeah.
you wouldn't have caught, the people who read it caught those. You weren't, and they still enjoyed the book.
Yeah, that's right. It didn't change their enjoyment of the story. So that
Yeah.
goes back to the point you made earlier, make it exist and then make it
Hmm.
good or make it
Yep.
better. Okay, that's really I I really like that. And it also connects with the thing that I learned right at the beginning that got me started on this book and got me finished on this book, which was just write the damn book. Just write the
Yes.
book. Once it
It's not gonna,
exists, then that is only your first draft.
right.
It's not it's not the book until you've been through several
Hmm.
processes, edit,
Right.
re-edit, edit some more,
Yeah.
edit a bit more, make a book cover, then format it, then publish it. And then it still has room to improve
Yes.
potentially. So now I get it. Thank you for that
Yep.
explanation. That's really helpful. This is my last serious question, and then I've got some fun,
So good.
silly questions for you. What does success as a writer look like to you now, and has it changed?
So for me right now, success looks like being a published author. I think for my childhood, like, little Leah is so proud that I am holding a
Mm,
book in my hands that has my name
mhm,
on it. Am I on a bestseller list? No. And that's okay. That's not the goal. So for me, it's being a published author that, as I've mentioned before, was not like I thought I wanted it to be fiction. And I
mm,
realized it didn't have to be. And so I changed course. Like, success, I think it's easy to hold on to the idea of what we see successful authors in the world doing,
mm.
when early in our journeys, success looks like writing the damn book, like you said. Like, just do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I think that I had, I don't think it was this big emotional process for me, but to say a a nonfiction book still counts, and it's
Yeah.
something I have the experience to back up. I'm gonna do this thing was, I think, a different way than I thought I was gonna be an author.
Mm,
And I think for a lot of people too, like, it's like, oh, I really wanted to traditionally publish. You can do it, go for it with the next one, right?
Yeah.
It's probably, if you love writing enough to finish an entire novel, you're probably not going to stop with one story.
No way. It becomes a bit of
So,
an addiction. I'm already 30,000 words into book 2, and it's the second book
Mhm.
for this book. And I get cross when things get in the way and stop me from writing because I want to live in this world.
Yeah.
No, the irony is I've always loved writing countless nearly finished books or started books. I've got a book full of ideas for books, all that kind of thing. But actually, I thought that I would publish a non-fiction first, and because I'm a grown-up professional with a business that, I thought that's what I would do. And it turns out that I just wanted to lose myself in a world of
Yep.
fantasy and, well, it's not fantasy, it's, romance and
Right.
countryside and handsome heroes. And now I'm
Mhm.
struggling with the non-fiction and I'm scratching my head over that. So you do what you can do,
Universe.
don't you, Leah? You do what you can
Yep.
do. So, and I think I am so happy and excited, like you, to have a book with my name on it, my writer's name,
Mhm.
not my actual, my day-to-day person name is different. But I love the community of
Mhm.
authors.
It's a
And
great
I
one.
feel, isn't it? And I feel like I have stepped into a tribe of amazing people who are
Mhm.
all boosting each other, cheerleading for each other, supporting each other, sharing each other's work, non-competitive, not like in the world of business where you constantly feel like they're snapping at your heels trying to take your clients away. This is like,
Yeah.
no, there's never going to be enough books in the world because everybody wants a
Mhm.
different thing. It's like a menu.
Right.
We don't all
Mhm.
want a prawn cocktail followed by a steak Diane. Some of us
Right.
want the goat's cheese followed by the salmon. We've all
That
got
sounds
different
delish.
wants and needs. So there's always going to be.
Yes.
I haven't eaten enough lunch, so I'm starting to talk about food.
That does sound good. I'll take
Yeah,
both.
right. Suppose what I'm saying is, for those of you who are listening, who are maybe newly writing, or maybe you've been writing for a while, but you're finding it frustrating because you're not getting enough readership or whatever it might be, remember that there's more than just one payback for
Mhm.
being a writer. There's the community, there's the sense of cheerleading each other, there's the tribe, the wonderful
Yeah.
tribe. And for me, that's really important. What have been some of the other sort of not obvious benefits that you have experienced as a result of having written and self-published your book?
For me, my parents finally know how to describe what I do. They're like, marketing. I don't know. It's like she wrote a book.
Yeah.
No,
You want to know
not
what
it.
she does? Read a book.
Yeah, there you go. Um, it's opened a lot of doors for conversations that I didn't feel like I could walk through, even though I should have had the confidence all along.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
especially in the nonfiction space where this is,
Yeah.
hey, it's my experience. Putting like comma author gives me
Yeah.
a credibility. I have always had the knowledge and experience and insight,
Mm,
but just being like, hey, I did this thing. But the conversations, and not just professionally. It's like I love hearing. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is help people figure out to solve their problems, and not in a psychologist way. I am not qualified for that, but in a business sense, in a
yeah.
creativity project sense. Like I am
Yeah.
always going to be a cheerleader, and it's given me a chance to like, yeah, let me tell you about how I did this, or just get it, you know, what all of what we're talking about has been something that just lit me up in a way I didn't expect to be as fulfilling. I mean,
Mm,
I knew it excited me because
yeah.
I'm fairly self-aware, but just being like, yeah, let's and the I think too it opens up the conversation of like, you're an author, I'm going to tell you about my project. People want to talk to people who understand what they're going through. And that is so cool to hear people share their stories, whether or not they're already published.
Mm,
I think it's similar. Like once you're a mom, everyone tells you their birth story, and like whether or not you like that, like it's a shared experience that
yeah.
somebody
Yeah,
is
for sure.
somebody is appreciating with you. And so getting to have that shared experience is really cool because I've for a long time watched amazing people be authors and wanted to
Mm,
be, to experience that or to talk about that with them, and then to get to do it has it's been awesome.
I completely relate. That's absolutely brilliant. It's been really inspiring talking to you, and you've genuinely given me a little metaphorical boot up the backside to crack on with my non-fiction as well. And I will certainly be in touch again, tapping you up for more inspo in the future. See, this is one of the benefits that I get as Mrs. Wright, the podcaster, is that I get connected with these amazing authors. But the good news for you, listener, is that you can too, because after I've done my 10 in 10 with Leah, we're going to close this podcast conversation down, but I'm going to give you access to all of her links to her socials and how to connect with Leah and how to get hold of that book. So you will be able to learn from the merch blueprint and from Leah herself. But before we go to the close, have you ever heard of the 10 in 10, where I
have
ask
not.
you 10 questions in 10 seconds? I actually think
gosh,
it takes
okay.
a bit more than 10
Okay.
seconds. But essentially, I'm going to give you 10 this or that, and you have to decide which one you're going to choose. But these are coming from the perspective of you as a reader, not
Okay.
you as a writer. Okay?
All
Should we
right.
give it a go?
Yes.
You ready? Okay.
As a reader.
So, as a reader, sweet or spicy?
Sweet.
Fact or fiction?
Ooh, both.
Okay. For different
I'm
things,
cheating.
yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cliffhanger or happy ending?
A happy ending.
Short or long chapter?
Sure.
Yeah, mostly short. Ebook or physical book?
Ooh, physical book.
Series or standalone?
Ooh, series, but I don't like having to wait.
Okay.
It's so hard.
Only if they're all available immediately.
I mean, I will
Good
wait,
point.
but I don't like it.
Don't like it. Dog-eared or pristine?
Dog-eared.
Bedtime or anytime?
Anytime.
One at a time or multiple choice?
Multiple choice.
And finally, bookmark or fold the corner?
Ooh, bookmark.
Nice. But I've had a few fold the corners. It's very controversial. Some people
I
feel
will
very offended by that.
I will dog-ear a book, but like if you're holding your place, it's got to be a bookmark because then you're confused over which is which.
Really good point. Very practical solutions. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've genuinely learnt masses from talking to you. I've made notes of things that I'm going to do as a result of this conversation. I'm looking forward to reading the book and seeing what I can take from that, both for my business, but also as an author. So thank you. Thank you for connecting. Thank you for joining me on the Mrs. Wright podcast to talk about your authoring journey, your book, and also great to know that there are people out there who have the expertise to support us in our marketing strategies as we pursue the world, especially as an independent author. Leah, it's been a great pleasure. Thanks again. And listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Mrs. Wright podcast and that you will join us for the next one. Goodbye for now.
Tap, 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 she's lining up a scene. Coffee cup, cat's tail, dancing in the steam. Every little click spins a brand new theme. Mrs. Wright, that's right.